Hello YouTube, welcome back to. In today's tutorial we're going to go ahead and actually run some write some unit tests to test our application. So let's go ahead and actually start. So in the root directory I'm going to create a file here called API. Let's call it test underscore API.py. Okay, so I'm going to create that right here. I have a one here that has some snippets that you're going to be using, but for now this is the one that will be working with. So the first thing we need to do we need to say import unit test. This actually the one and then unit test. Also we need to import a request. So before that we need to install a request. So I'm going to close the server and clear the screen, and I'm going to go pip3 install request. This is request. So I'm going to run that. Let's go ahead and actually install this library called the request, and this will enable us to make a request to our application. So it's going to take some time, and then it's going to install, and then we have the request done. So I can go back to application. Also need to say here import requests, like that. So sorry, that's now we have that there. Let's go and actually write a class that you're going to be using to test our application. Now you can use function, that's fine, but I just want to use classes. So feel free to use anything that you want, as long as you are familiar with the basics of Python. So I'm going to call it unit test. I'm going to call it test API, just like that, and it's going to inherit from unit test dot test case. Just fine. So we have that. So now that we have that class, we can go and actually define some certain parameters that you're going to be using. So I'm just going to come in here, right, and I'm going to copy this URL. So this URL is just the URL that we use for our application, right? So this is we go to /. If you type this in your browser, you just get the to-do list route. Okay, so that's just how to do it. This is localhost at port 5000, and this is the thing that we get whenever we run our to-do. So it's a localhost. Now this is a Swagger UI, but in our case it will be at the to-do list. So this should just be to-do list, just like that. And then let me just go ahead and start the server, run that, and then I can hit this route, and then we can get back the to do. So this is just a route that returns to do. So we're going to use to test it to see if we're getting back the result that we expect. So now we have that route there. So we can go ahead and actually begin to run different methods to handle our different tests. So the first one is going to be called test. I'm going to test one. I'm going to call it get all to do's right there. So I'm going to pass in self as usual. All methods in function, they have the self. So I'm going to call this response. I'm going to call response. I'm going to go request dot. I'm going to do a get request. I'm going to do self dot URL. So that's all you're going to do. So we're going to get this URL, and if you get this URL, it's going to return to us this specific JSON. Okay, so now we have that JSON. We want to go ahead and actually do a certain checks on it. So we're going to assert you're going to assert if it's equal, right? Because if it's equal to res dot we're going to check if the status. So we're going to check the status. If the status is equal to status, this is called status underscore code. If the status code is equals to the 200, sorry. So if the status code is equals to 200, means that we got a response back, right? And I've already discussed this in the other tutorials when I'm talking about error handling and stuff like that. So also here we're going to do assert equal. Sorry, bring this back here, equal, and then I'm going to assert if the length of the response dot JSON is going to be equals to 4. Let's say 4. The length is going to be equals to 4. So now let's just bring this in and say print, and then I'm going to say test 1 completed, just like that. So we have that there. So this is going to be test 1. So we're going to get the JSON. We're going to make a request, get back the JSON, and we're going to check the length of it. So if it's going to be equals to 4, so we're going to check this to check if the length is equal to 4. So let's go ahead and actually get started. So go back here, and then this we need to run this in our we can create something here. So I'm going to say if an entry point name underscore name equals to string underscore dunder main dunder, and then this is just going to be you're going to create they call it tester. This is going to be test API object, and I'm going to say tester dot this is going to be test one get all to dos. That's all. So we're going to do that there. So it's going to be tester. So it's going to be tester. So the tester objects run this to do a route call on it. So I'm going to go to my terminal, and I need to create a new terminal. I need to open a new path. So I'm going to deactivate my Anaconda. So now that I have my Anaconda deactivated, I must navigate back, and then I must activate source vnv/bin. It's going to be bin activate. So it's going to activate our virtual environment, and I'm going to navigate to application, and I'm going to do Python 3, and then it's going to be called test API, and then I'm going to run this. So you have set it, and you can see that 1 is not equals to 4. The reason why 1 is not equals to 4, that the response will only be 1, since you have only 1 to do within our application, right? Because if you check here, you have only 1 to do response, so the length should be equals to 1. So I'm going to assert that. So I'm going to run this again, and you can see test 1 completed, means that we got back 1. Okay, so now if you go ahead and actually add in another response, then this file will change, and I'll show you just in a moment. So let's go ahead and actually write test 2. So I'm going to create test underscore 2. You're going to do a post, so I'm going to be self. So we're going to be doing a post request to our server. So now this names, function names, is you can give it any function name you want, but I just give text 1 and test 2 just to make it descriptive and be concise, right? Don't make it very long, and don't make it something that no one can understand. JSON, we're going to say request in here, request dot post, and you're going to say self dot URL. You're going to be making a post request to that URL. You're going to say JSON. We need to now provide in a JSON that you're going to be posting to our server. So now I'm just going to go back my code snippet, and I'm going to call come up here, and I'm going to get this data. So now this data will help us to make a post request to our server using this specific data. Okay, so this is a JSON dictionary that I created. So I'm going to say the JSON is going to be self dot data. That's all. So we're going to post self dot data, which is going to be this to our URL. Okay, and then you're going to assert the response to see how the server responds. So we're going to say self dot assert. You're going to assert equal. So we're going to assert equal, and then you're going to check if the response dot status code is equals to the status. It's actually status underscore code. If the status code is 200, yeah, so we're going to check if the status code is 200, means that the post has been created. So we're going to in that test, we're going to print going to say test to completed. Again, if you make a post, it's going to return to us back that post, right? So we're going to self dot assert assert dictionary. I think you can assert dictionary equal. So this is going to be dictionary equal, and then we can provide in here they're going to check the response dot we're going to check the response dot JSON. We're going to convert the response to JSON, and we're going to compare it against the any other dictionary, which is going to be self dot data, right? So we're going to check the JSON of this. Let's actually convert it to a dictionary. I don't know if you can do that, so let's just try it out. So we're going to convert it to a dictionary, and we're going to check if these two dictionaries are equal. But in this case, the two dictionaries won't be equal, since the response data is going to have other attributes attached to it. So now I think we can just leave this out, because if it returns a 200 code, it means that everything was created, right? So now we can go ahead and actually save that, and then we can come and add another test here. So tester dot test, then be test 2 post to do. You're going to save that, and we can go back to our terminal, and then we can run that test. So we have test 1 completed and test 2 completed. So that's those two unit tests are completed. So now let's go ahead and actually do a test. This is going to be test 3, test underscore 3. We're going to get specific to do, and you're going to pass in yourself as usual, and then we're going to get a response. This will be request dot this is going to be get, right? Because we want to get something. So self dot URL and then what you're going to get something, and then you're going to add something to this URL. So we're going to say plus this /4. So let's say we want the post with an ID of 2. First let me just try come up here, and I try to get, this is an ID of 3, so let's try to get the one with an ID of 3. Okay, so change that to be 3. So you want to get making a get request to this to do, and you're going to add to it to be to do list /3, because you're going to add this 3 to it, which is going to go to our get specific routes, which is going to come to this route right here, and then it's going to get the ID with that post, the content with that post, and going to return it to us. So that you're going to get that, and you're going to store it in the response, right? So now that we have that, we can go ahead and do some assert dot self.assert. You're going to assert the equal. You're going to assert equal, and then we need to say in here response, that you check that it's a response dot status. The status code is a 200 response, to make sure that we got okay. And then you're going to do self.assert again, assert equal again. So in this role we're going to be using equal throughout, so we're going to assert equal. We're going to do response.json, and then this is going to be self. So we want to compare this response with something else. So I want to compare this response with this data that you're going to get from here. So I'm going to copy this and move it into our in here. So I'm going to call this expected results. So we expect this to be returned to us, and I'm going to copy and paste that here. So we're going to say expected result, and let me fix that indentation. So we're going to have expected results. So they're going to be, this is going to be I think we need to put this to be, let me check here, it needs to be false. Yeah, Pythonic false. So this is capital F. So yeah, now we have that. You're going to check self. We're going to self dot this is going to be self dot expected, so expected result. So we're going to check if the response is going to be equals to self dot expected result. If that is true, then that we have passed a test, means that you're getting back what you expect. So we're going to say test. We're going to say test 3 completed. Yeah, completed, just like that. So we're going to add in another test. So I'm going to say test tester dot test. This is going to be test 3 get to do. So I'm going to comment out this. I don't want to run this post again. So we have that there. So I'm just going to do and go to our terminal and then try to run that test. We have an error. 2 is not equals to 1. So let's see. We have the error occurred here. So the test assert failed, so assertion error. So let's see why the assertion failed. So we are saying self.assert. So this is not going to be equal. So this is going to be a dictionary. So my bad. So this will be dict equal. So that's, we have that. So let's go and try to run it again. Run this again. So we have an assertion error again. Let's see where that error is. So base exception failed test by line 24. So line 24. Okay, so the assertion failed here because now we have already entered something into our database. So we are not going to be expecting just length of this to be 1, because if I go back to the server to our browser, it's going to be 2. That's why that assertion test failed. So this is going to be 2. Now this is going to pass. So let's save that and then try to run the code again. Go back to a terminal, clear the screen, and then let me just make this big so that you guys can see. And then I can run the test again. You can see test 1 completed. So now test 3 we didn't actually run test 3 because I didn't call it. So now we can go ahead and actually run it again. So test 1 completed and test 2 completed. So that's good. So now let's go and run run another test. So this test is going to be for deleting delete, to check our delete route. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do def test. This is going to be test underscore 4 delete. So I'm going to pass in self as usual, and then I'm going to do a response. This is going to be equals to request dot this is going to be delete, right? Request dot delete. You're going to pass in self dot URL, and then you're going to pass in the ID. So we're going to add in the ID that you want to delete. So I want to delete the one with an ID of with the one with an, I'll check the one with an ID of 4. Let's try to delete the one with an ID of 4. Yeah, so if you delete it, you're just going to do check if you get back a 200 error dot assert equal, and then you're going to do in here we're going to do resp dot status code, and then you're going to assert if the status code is equals to 200 status code, and then if that's done means that has been deleted, and you're going to print test for completed, just like that. So now we have that. You can go ahead and save that, and then I can come up here and add that test to it. So tester dot test test for delete. Make sure I call it this time. So I'm going to do that delete. So yeah, so you can go ahead and actually run it in our terminal. So run that code. We have no response has no attributes status. Okay, I got that wrong. So this is that status code. I forgot the e. So let me run that again. So 1 is not equals to 2. So where this is line 24. So we expect to get back 1, and you're passing in here 2. So for now, I think the best thing to do is just to comment out this, and then this has been deleted already. So let me just comment out this so that we can make another post request. Let's call this testing 2, and then this to be 2. And then you're going to make posts. You're going to make a post. You're going to get the specific, and you're going to delete the one with an ID of. Now the ID you have changed, so we're going to do the ID of 3, which is one that is going to be remaining, right? So clear this, and then I'm going to run it again. So test 1 complete, test 2 complete, test 3 complete, and then test 4 also completed. So now those tests are done. So let me just go and then I comment out this, guys, so that we don't have those errors. So now that we have those, let's go ahead and actually do def, and I'm going to do this is going to be test 5. You're going to be our last test 5 update, and I'm going to pass in self. You're going to do a response. This is going to be a request. Sorry, not a response, rather a request. Dot then we put, because we're going to be updating that route text in a put. So we're going to do self dot URL, and then you're going to be putting with the JSON the update data. So I'm going to get the update data here, update data. So I'm going to get that here. So copy this, and then I'm going to paste it right here. So paste that right there. Try to fix the indentation. So it's actually the wrong one. I want the update data. Okay, copy this and then paste it here. So paste it here. Make sure I fix that indentation. Make sure I fix that indentation. Yeah, so that's done. So now that we have that done, let's go ahead and actually try to update this. So we're going to be updating with the one with let me just go back here, and then I make a request. We have the one left is an ID of 4. So let's try to update the one with an ID of 4. So we're going to add here to our request this is going to be a string /4. So we're going to be updating with self dot the JSON rather. So this will be JSON. Will be self dot update data. So we're going to update it with that with the update data, and then you're going to do self dot asserts equal. So we're going to do self assert equal, and then you're going to do an assertion. You're going to get the response dot JSON. So we're going to get the JSON data, and then you're going to check the JSON, right? You're going to get the name of it. So the name, then you're going to check if the name has changed. So now the name, let's go and check the name. Now the name is just test2. So now I'm going to update it to, let's say, will be updated, right? It will be changed from test2 to updated. So I'm going to check if the name is going to be equals to let me just delete that. So it'll be self dot update data, and then you're going to get the name. So if the update the newly updated data, which is going to be the response, if it's equal to the one that we just used to update it, it's going to be update. If it's equal, means that update was successful. So we're going to do another test, self.assert. You're going to assert equal. Here what you're simply going to do is going to get the response.json, and then you're going to get the description if the description is true, and then description. So if the description is going to be equals to self dot update data, and then this is going to be this description, just like that. So if these are going to be okay, and then we're going to say that to be done. So paste that here. We're going to check the completed, if the completed has also been updated. So copy that, paste it here. and then you're going to test print. If all of that test is done, you're going to print test 5 completed. That's all you're going to do. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to do tester dot test test 5 update, and I'm going to show I call it. So save that and then go to my terminal and then try to run it again. So we got another error. So assertion it's in line 63. Okay, we have an error there, and then it goes back to line 52. So let's check it here. So 52 here, description. Okay, make sure I close that up. So make sure I fix that. Sorry for that error. So let me just try to restart again. So we have an errors again. Okay, I did the same error also here, since I copy pasted the code, right? That's the bad thing about copy pasting code, you copy errors along. So now that I have done that, we can just clear the terminal and then try to run again. Test 5 completed, mean that our data has been updated. So now let's go ahead and actually run to add some data to our database. So let me just run the test again. So test 2 completed. So I'm just gonna go back here and then try to refresh this. We have 2 records with an ID of 4 and 5. So I want to go to delete route. So I want to delete with an ID of 4, and then I want to update with an ID of 5. I mean get the one with an ID of 5, and then the length should be 2. Yeah, so we are setting the length to be 2 for the test 1. We're getting all the to-dos. We expect the length to be 2. Then you're doing a post, you're posting, and you're going to get a 200 error. That means the post was successful. You're doing test 3, we're getting a specific URL, we are specific to do, you're getting the one of ID of 5, which is gonna be bring this one here with an ID of 5. And then let me just press exit, and then for delete, you're going to delete the one with an ID of 4, which is this one right here. And then after that, you're going to update the one with an ID of 5. Then you're going to check all that code. So I'm going to uncomment out all these specific tests, and then we can save this, go back to my terminal, and then we can run clear this, run all the tests. So we got back an error. So it says that let's see what it says. It's in an ID of 5. So let's see, test 1 completed, test 2 completed. We have an error on line 41. Let's see test 3 with an on line 41. So 41 right here, solve.dictionary. Yeah, line question 3 was working. So 5 solve.expected results. So this is not expected results, right? The expected result changes. So this is going to be expected result. You can see on the terminal we have an ID of 3 and 5 that don't match up. So let's go ahead. This is going to be an ID of 5. That's going to be an ID of 5, and then let's just copy the one of ID of 5 to make sure we have that right. So I'm going to copy this and then go to my code and then paste it in place of this, then fix that indentation. Yeah, so this is going to be capital false. Delete that to false. Yeah, so hopefully everything works. Let's try it again. Go back to my terminal, clear this, and then try to run it. Okay, 3 is not equals to 2, so that is on line 29. Oh, by 29, 3 is not equals to 2. So it's going to be expecting 3 results since we ran the first update. So hopefully, I hope every error is fixed. Let me just try this around. Yeah, all the tests have been completed. Test 1 complete, test 2 complete, test 3 complete, 4 and 5. So all our tests have been completed. So application is working as we expected it to be. So that's how you can write unit test for your API in Flask. So this is how you can write the unit test for it. Again, this code is going to be in the in my GitHub page in the description. In case you messed up any part, just make sure that whenever you change you run the code, right, it's actually doing a role delete, so you need to actually make real updates to existing code here. Okay, so that's the thing that was bothering me in this tutorial. So yeah, so now that we have that done, so in the next tutorial we're going to go ahead and actually deploy our application. So guys, thanks for watching. If you're liking this video so far, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel for more informative videos like this, and also leave a recommendation for future tutorials in the comment section. I'll do my best to deliver to you guys. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Keep safe.